Welcome to episode 6 of Entrepreneur Life with me, Joel Campbell, and I am an entrepreneur. I'm going to level with you straight away. Normally I record on a Friday evening. If you listen to the podcast in the previous few episodes, you'll know that Friday I do a long day and I finish work, and then about 8 o'clock I record my episode for half an hour before I go off and pick up my daughter from gymnastics. Last Friday, however, was Good Friday, so my daughter wasn't at gymnastics. I'd been at Shepton for the whole week, and I had my sister over and her husband, so my brother-in-law and my nephew and stuff, so I just didn't get around to recording it. It would be a lie if I said I was stone cold sober at 8 o'clock last Friday, which is probably part of the reason as well why I didn't record it. I'm recording episode 6 now, cheating a little bit by recording it a week late, so apologies. And it's actually only 7:30, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 back to back. I'm going to record this one, episode 6, I take a couple of minutes and go into episode 7. You might also notice I've got a big bandage on my head. And that is because I had a small operation this week, nothing major. People have been asking me what's wrong today or what had happened. I've given various different reasons, everything from I had to have some surgery to remove the headaches that everyone causes me, all the way through to my intelligence was getting too much, so I had to have some of it removed. Some of my humour was too great, and I think I probably had the best, most realistic comment given to me earlier this week, which was by none other than Lauren, the site manager at Shrewsbury, who said they had to remove some of the inner Joel because it just got too much. Basically, she means they had to remove some of my bullshit. But yeah, I had to have a small incision in my head. So apologies if you're watching this on YouTube and having to look at a big unsightly bandage. Just listen to it on Spotify, Amazon, whatever it is that you listen to. Anyway, let's crack on. So, pretending this is last week, the week leading into Easter, what a fucking week that was. So I started my week by driving down to Shepton Mallet. At 6 o'clock on a Monday morning I left to drive down to Somerset. Normally I will leave the night before. I'll go down, I'll stay in a hotel. Nothing fancy, just a Premier Inn. Love a good Premier Inn, plug. So just stayed in a Premier Inn. And then normally I'm set up to get in first thing Monday morning, 9 o'clock, fresh, ready to go, without a 3.5 hour drive behind me. But this time round, I decided I would stay at home and I would drive down first thing Monday morning, which is what I did. So sort of a 3-hour drive really, first thing on a Monday. And I got to the prison, I hooked up with Charlie, who's the site manager there, met with him, wandered around a little bit, went through a few bits, and then the staff started turning up sort of at 9:30, and I started connecting with them about 10 o'clock, just saying hello, seeing how they were and stuff like that. And oh my God, I was down there for 3 full days, and I was absolutely blown away by how good that team is down in Shepton. And that's not to say that we don't have other good teams, that's not the case. But oh my God, I was blown away by how strong and structured and engaged and positive and connected that team was. And it's really cliche to say this, and I've been saying this to a few people over the last few days since I've been back. It is cliche, but they are like a small family, and they really are connected. And I was wondering to myself whether that was an issue, sort of previously, whether being too connected is a problem in a work environment. And they just make it work. They've got some incredibly good team members down there, some really strong leaders, some really strong managers, really strong team players, really strong team members, and it just works. And I think, a lot of the drive down there comes from obviously the management team in the sense of how they're led. And I think Charlie is an exceptionally strong manager. He's a good leader. He, very much leads from the front. He'll do all the bad jobs. So you'll see him grafting away. And I think that, the team really follow that. Now, and they're all really good. They're all proper grafters down there, so it's not right to sort of single anybody out. But Charlie is the backstop. He is that last person on the line, the shit ends with him, the buck stops with him. It's his responsibility to make that site work. Obviously, he has support centrally, but it is his responsibility from an operational perspective to make that site work. And bloody hell does he do a good job of it. And his team wrap around him and they all do a great job of it. So really, really impressive to see that, and really, really pleasing, because I get concerned at points that, I talk a lot about how we're employee centric, we're entrepreneurial led, we're all about our people. Ultimately, I still think we're an investing in people business first and an attraction business second, or a media business second. I think our core business is actually investing in people and trying to build everything around them, their needs, their wants, their requirements, and such like that. And sometimes I kind of look at it and I sort of go, is this real? Is this just woolly, fluffy bullshit? Or is this something tangible? And by saying that, I mean, like, are we actually doing what we say we're doing? Are we getting that right? Are we driving that forwards? Or is it just words? And I really want it to be actual, tangible. I really want to see it, and I want people to really enjoy coming to work. And I spoke last week in my podcast at the end of the episode about how the first thing you should look for from a job is enjoyment, is joy, is that want to go and do that job, and money should be a close second. So that's how we're trying to build our companies. And it was really, really pleasing going down to Shepton and seeing that team in that way, because it just felt like all the things we talk about, all the things I talk about, all the things that we push forward, all the things that Shelley and I work hard on, and the rest of the team as well, it just felt like that was being achieved. And that was a huge moment for me. It truly was, not only because I'm not involved in the operational aspect down at Shepton. I couldn't tell you how any of it worked. I know my way around the building, I know how to open the doors, I know the combinations for the padlocks, but outside of that, I couldn't tell you how to do it. I just couldn't. I'm so far removed from it, and that's really nice. I quite like that. But also just watching the team there and seeing that some of the decisions we make and some of the things we do and some of the stuff that's embedded really makes a difference to what they do day to day. And that team there, I believe, and I'm sure if they listen to this and I'm wrong, they'll correct me, but I believe that team really, really enjoy their jobs. They love that place, they love the work, they love the environment, they love the team, they love the whole ethos of the company, and they get so much from it, which is why they give so much back, and they truly are brilliant. And they don't get paid amazingly well. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of it, but certainly I don't think any of our staff are really paid quite right, and that's part of a growing business. We've got to get ourselves a little bit further down the line to be able to pay better salaries, because we've got to make the money in the first instance, because if we just pay the big salaries or better salaries and we don't make the money, we'll be out of business in a few months, and it's pointless. So we've got to build to it, and that's why we try and put all the other stuff around it as well, so there's some really good things there for employees. So if you've not been to Shepton Mallet Prison, you should go. You should go because it's an amazing attraction. There's loads to do there. They've got various different escape rooms, different activities, different tours. It's the oldest prison in the country, over 400 years old, one of the oldest in the world, most haunted in the world. It's a fascinating place, it truly is. And don't take my word for it, have a look on TripAdvisor. You'll see it from our customers, TripAdvisor, Google, Facebook, look at the reviews and you will see it for yourself. But if you're not going for the building, go and have a chat with the staff, I dare you. Even if you're just wandering past or you're in the area, drop in, say, hi guys at the Visitor Centre, listen to Joel's podcast. He said drop in, have a chat. How are you guys? And I promise you, you will come out there with such a big smile on your face, because they're so nice to talk to. And I got to witness that for 3 days solid, and I came back so pumped and so excited and so engaged with what we do, because I got to see the outcome of it. So that was really, really nice. It was a strong week of back-to-back meetings. I mean, when I go to Shepton, I just disregard my actual day-to-day job as a CEO. I'm obviously now picking up the marketing manager role as well, because Paige left last Tuesday. I'll go into that more in next week's episode, which I'll be filming in a few minutes. I'll go into that in next week's episode because that's kind of come about in the last week. So I was picking up the marketing manager role and bits like that, but I kind of put all of my own work to the side when I'm down in Shepton because I want to spend time there with the team, with Charlie, with the duty management team, various meetings, and that's really how my day was structured. I sort of had back-to-backs on Monday, meeting with Charlie and by himself, then with different duty managers throughout the day, and just really talking about what they're up to. They're asking me for some advice, some guidance. Can they have this? Can they have that? Can we release some cash for this? Can they do this? What do I think of this? What do I think of that? Would this work? Will that work? What are Shrewsbury doing? How can we connect? We'd love to work with this organisation. Can we change this product? Can we adapt this pricing? Can we get the sales to do this? Can we get marketing to do that? That's literally the conversations back to back. And I love that because that is a really good sweet spot for me because I know what's going on in various different places and I can connect all the dots, and that works really, really well. So that was kind of Monday really, and then Monday evening spent time with the team, just informally in the jail. We got a load of pizzas and we just sat around and just chatted, and I got to meet the new members of the team, chat to some of the other members of the team, and yeah, we just chewed the fat and ate pizza for, I don't know, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, something like that. So yeah, and that was really nice. It was a really nice way to do that first day. So that was Monday. It does make it quite a long day for me because it was about 15.5 hours, 16-hour day, I think, by the time I got to the hotel and checked in, because obviously I've been up early in the morning, and that's why I like to do it the night before. The days of me doing long 16, 18-hour days, they're kind of behind me, to be honest. I never really wanted to do 18-hour days. Who wants to do an 18-hour workday? It's more of a necessity rather than a want in the early days. And I say the early days because I did 18-hour days. I mean, I was doing 100-hour weeks, basically, every week for the first 3.5 years of taking on the jails, 3.5, 4 years, really without holidays, like without breaks. Even if I was away, I was still working. So, just constantly. And it nearly killed me. I thrive off it and I enjoy it to a point, but it is also really, really hard work. And I've got no ambition to continue doing that. I love working, I love what I do. But yeah, I've got no ambition to do 16, 17, 18-hour days. So that's why I like to go down the day before, because I get to break it up and I just don't have to do those long days. Plus I'm getting old, you know what I mean? So then on the Tuesday, we've established, and I can talk about this now because again, this went out for a couple of weeks, so it's nice that it works in that way. But there's a charity that's being set up. So it's called the Prison Museum Trust. It's a charitable incorporated organisation, and I'm a trustee on that charity. I was working with the other trustees and with a guy who's going to be the CEO, who's going to run that charity. So had some meetings with him down in Shepton on the Tuesday, just to discuss, was that the Tuesday or the Wednesday? Might have been the Wednesday actually, apologies. But I'll talk about the charity now. So Prison Museum Trust, like I say, we were discussing with this guy about becoming the CEO. We've been having a few discussions about it, and we just formalised the agreements really on the Wednesday when I met with them. And that's great because it's the charitable aspect that I've always wanted to have an involvement in, but it's not really, I wouldn't say it's a passion or not a passion. It's not something that I want to do the day-to-day work of. Running charities, being involved in charities, doing charity work is not my day-to-day grind, and it's not really what I want to do. I love my commercial world. I really, really enjoy it. So I don't want to do that myself, but I'd love being involved in that because I think giving back is so important. I think, we've also got a huge amount of things we can offer a charity that concentrates on prisons and museums, because we have 2 of them. We own one, we've got a second one. We're probably, I think, the biggest prison attraction company there is. I don't know. I mean, Alcatraz is obviously the biggest. We're pretty, I guess it's quite a niche market in fairness. So it's like, I guess it's easy to boast. I mean, I've got more bars than Wetherspoons, for fuck's sake. But regardless of the size, like I say, I think it's really important to give back. And there's so many charities that I've come across, organisations that I've spoken to, other people we've worked with over the last 6 years since we've been doing this, that just doesn't quite fit in the commercial world. And I've always thought, there should be a charity that I'd love us to be part of that can support that aspect. So finally one got set up, and like I say, I connected into it, became a trustee, which I'm really pleased to do. And we've got this great guy who's got loads of experience both in the prison world, the attraction world, local authority world, charity world, who's going to drive it forward. So that was a really positive meeting, and really looking forward to getting him started and just letting him go with it, really. So yeah, that's going to be great. And I think that will open up more access for people as well to Shepton Mallet Prison and to Shrewsbury Prison. So excited about that, and I think it can help link up other jails and other partners in that world. So I think that's going to be good. What else did I do on the Tuesday? What the hell did I do on the Tuesday? I must have meetings. I met with the director of our events company. So I met with a guy called Greg, who runs Immersive Events, which is a company that I started, again, about 6 years ago. And it's been sort of ticking away, and it's had its ups and downs. It's been a really big roller coaster ride, Immersive Events. And the event world is very, very difficult. It's a bit different to the attraction world because it's, I wouldn't say it's seasonal, but you have the market that you're in, and that then obviously dictates how you operate and what you do. And Immersive Events predominantly has been is a scare event company. It's very immersive, fully immersive, but it has always predominantly been more scare, so therefore it bases itself around Halloween. And I've always wanted to expand it to all year round. And Greg's doing some good work down there. They operate out of the workshop building down in Shepton Mallet. So there's a big sort of 4-story beast of a concrete block, but it's great for attractions. It's great for events. Loads and loads of good stuff they're doing down there. So met with him, just running through some finances, how Easter was going, what their future's looking like, anything that we can do to support them and help and stuff like that, really. So nothing overly complex in my world. So it was again quite nice to do that and meet with some of the team down there and just see what they're up to, see what they're doing, and see how we can support them going forwards. And I'm trying to think, it must be something else. I must have done other stuff on the Tuesday. Do you know what? I can't remember. And this is the trouble with doing stuff, a week and a half behind. I can't actually remember what I did. But I do know one thing that had happened, and I wanted to kind of share this with you, because this was one of those big moments. And I think certainly in my life, I don't know if other people feel the same, I get those big revelation moments where I suddenly come across something, I see something, I'm just like, oh my God, how the fuck did I not realize that before? That is so true and so clear. And just suddenly you see the wood through the trees, and it just happens. And it was a clip, funny enough, that I'd seen of Baroness Brady. So Karen Brady, for those who don't know who she is, she's one of the people on The Apprentice that follows the team around. That's probably what she's most well known for, I think, in wide spectrum of the world. But she is, a businesswoman certainly, and very, very impressive. And she was on the podcast with Stephen Bartlett on My Diary of a CEO, and I just saw some clips basically coming out on Facebook and YouTube, so before I got to see the full interview. And it was a clip about being a leader and being a manager, and she was talking about what a manager does and saying that a manager's job is to organise people, give them tasks, make sure it happens, support them through it, but very much manage that what's happening. And a leader's job is to have a vision. And then she used the word persuade. I don't like the word, but she used the word persuade other people to follow that vision without them being able to see it themselves. And I thought that's absolutely right. That's what a manager does, and that's what a leader does effectively, is have a vision, and it's about getting people to follow you on that journey of that vision. And the trick is that, and I know this because I do this is what entrepreneurs do, is I can see where I want us to go. I can see where I want us to be. I can lay the pathway of the journey, but that is going to change as it does. Lots of things, affects that, but I can see where we're going. I can see the vision. And my job is to try and get these 70 people, 73 I think now, to follow me on that journey to that end vision. But they can't quite see it as I see it, because I can see it quite clearly. I'm explaining it and stuff gets lost in translation and stuff like that. And that's the difference. And I was like, yeah, that's right. And then she dropped the bomb, absolute bomb on me. And she turned around and said, not everybody can be a manager. And I was like, wow. And I realized at that moment that a big part of my problem and a big part of my organization's problem is I'm a shit manager. And I'm happy to say it. I am an absolutely shit manager. I'm just going to let that sink in a second and have a bit of tea, and I'm going to explain more. I don't know with this tea. I'm going to have to check the cuts and see if you can hear me drinking, because that's got to be the worst thing in the world, isn't it? Podcast with a guy that drinks a cup of tea is like how unprofessional. Anyway, so I'm a shit manager, and you know what? I'm all right with that. And I'm all right with that because I think I'm a good leader. I'd like to think I'm a great leader, but I don't believe you can give yourself the title of great leader. I think only other people can give you that. I can say I'm a good leader because I've got us this far, and I think getting us this far has been good. Getting us beyond that, I think, starts moving into the realms of kind of that sort of greatness in terms of leadership. But like I said, I think other people have to give you that accolade. You can't do it yourself. When I think about being a shit manager, though, it takes me all the way back to my first management roles. And I can remember the first management role I had in leisure, where I took over, where I got a job as a duty manager. I was 25 maybe, something like that. And I have spoken about this a little bit before, but I took over as a duty manager in Shepton Mallet Leisure Centre. There was a site manager, there was an assistant manager, and then there was 3 duty managers. And I was one of those. And my job specifically was around fitness. So I looked after the gym, I looked after the daily running of a shift, and my area was the gym effectively in that. And there was somebody else that looked after day-to-day running, but looked after the sports hall bookings, so looked after things like all the trampoline, gymnastics, badminton, all that kind of stuff, squash, that side of things. There was somebody else that looked after all the external side of things and the building maintenance, so the astroturfs and stuff like that. So it was a dry site, so no swimming pool. And I had 3 gym instructors underneath me, all of which currently worked there, 2 of which had gone for the job that I ended up getting. And one of the first days, I think it was maybe the second or third day that I was there, I was chatting to the site manager, my boss, and I was talking to her about the interviews and just kind of asking, because I went in quite soft actually, quite gentle Joel. And I was really keen to get it right, and I really wanted to make an impression, but I really wanted to go in not bullet a gate, not kind of my natural nature. So I went in quite softly, and I remember chatting to her and asking her about any advice, because there was a couple of people in there that had gone for the same job, they hadn't got it, and I remember her saying, yeah, I was surprised by that. And I was just like, what? And she said that she thought that when she went into the job interview, somebody else was going to get the job, and through the interview, it completely changed, and I ended up getting it. So she was like, so, off you go. And I was like, that's a bit weird. Slightly off the point, but she's a lovely lady, somebody I'm still connected to, and I really enjoyed working with her. I learned a lot from her. But the team really didn't like me very much. And I don't know why they didn't like me, because like I said, I was quite nice. And I was just trying to improve things. And it was a bit of a backward site. I'd come from a site that was much further ahead, had some really good tech in it. It was really impressive, the other side. And this one wasn't bad, but some of the systems were just very dated. So like the induction process was really outdated. So there was kind of reviving that and stuff like that. And these were all things that these guys wanted in the site embedded. But when I did it, they just didn't like it. And I kind of struggled a little bit, but I just kind of persevered and went through. And I think in the end, I just went, fuck it, and I'll just be me. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. And then about a year later, I think I'd been there about a year, and the job came up as a site manager in another leisure centre, still inside the same group in Somerset Council. So I went for that job, and I got that job. And that was a change, because all of a sudden I wasn't going into the leisure centre wearing tracksuit trousers and a polo shirt anymore, and doing gym instructions and doing inductions and, you know, running around on shifts and emptying bins and doing that. I was in a suit, so shirt, tie, suit, in an office doing paperwork and admin. And the thing was, I took over a site that was really underperforming, hugely underperforming. It was a wet site as well, so I had a swimming pool, outside courts, inside courts, basketball, squash, basketball courts, and stuff like that. So it was a decent sized site. It was attached to a school with about 800-900 kids on it. So it was all right, but it was failing miserably. And within the first year, and I do talk about this quite a bit with people, within the first year, I turned it around from, I think it was making a £70,000 loss. And in the first 12 months, I got it to make a £17,000 profit. So I'd flipped it £87,000 in a year, which was quite something, especially because traditionally, some like county council leisure centres didn't make money. And that was enough to get me noticed by quite a few people in the organisation, and sort of go, this guy's clearly got something here. He's very, very good at doing this. And I did get very, very good results. But my God, did the staff hate me. They absolutely hated me. And I wouldn't say I necessarily went on a power trip. I just was really, really bad at managing people. And I can think back now to some of the conversations I had with staff and some of the things that, you know, we spoke about, some of the arguments we had, some of the issues we had, and I can probably shoulder 70 to 80% of the blame for most of them. And you know what? It didn't actually matter to the powers that be, the people above me, because I got results. So they didn't really mind too much, or weren't bothered, or maybe didn't even know that my team really, really disliked me, because I got good results, and that was enough to move me on to the next stage. I did do some things that I fundamentally, I still deep down, there was something inside me that knew it was about my people, because I think back to when I was there at the time when we lost our first child. So Ashlyn, our first child, who passed away unfortunately when she was 31 days old. And the team there, some of the team came to the funeral. I remember being incredibly touched that some of those guys came to the funeral, because I thought that was really, really nice of them to do that. They all sent sort of flowers and condolences and stuff like that. And I can remember at the time that it was getting towards, well, I was getting closer towards Christmas, because Ashlyn passed away in oh God, I'm trying to remember the dates. How bad is that, man? She passed away near Christmas, so a couple of months before Christmas, basically. They were going out for a Christmas meal, and I wasn't going with them. I just didn't feel like celebrating. I didn't feel very Christmassy. I didn't feel very seasonal, very jolly, obviously, as you can imagine, I'm sure. So I didn't go. I was still not back at work fully either. I was kind of dropping in for the odd day, but I wasn't back at work fully, because I wasn't there. And the staff, my boss has been so good about it, just saying, don't worry, take all the time you need. And I've spoken about that in the past, and I'm not going to go into that now. But what I did do is, I was at work and I was driving home, and I knew that they were going to go and have Christmas at a golf course down the road, which was on my way back pretty much. So on my way home, I stopped at the golf course and I went in and I said, hey, look, my team have got a meal booked here this weekend. They're all coming down. I said, I'd like to put some money behind the bar if I can, please. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. A bit surprised. I was like, can I put £100 behind the bar, please? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. So I just paid for £100, paid it there and then behind the bar. I had a little card, so I wrote in the card and I just said, really sorry I can't be with you guys. Hope you have an amazing time. I've put some money behind the bar. Please have a few drinks on me. And that was that. And I was just kind of like, that's that piece of me that I really like, that is that really kind of, will help people and do what I can to support people. But like I say, at the same time, I'm not a good manager. And the next job, and one of the reasons I sort of moved on from leisure, was I then moved on from that job to a higher level, to a more senior level. And I was working centrally then across 12 gyms by that point. And again, I think I've spoken about this before, so I'll be quite quick, but I was then working predominantly with site managers, so 12 different site managers effectively. And I was in charge of supporting the gyms and the gym memberships and the fitness memberships and stuff like that, which was a big percentage of our income, certainly the biggest percentage of our income. And again, I was pretty shit at management with people. And what happened there was the site managers, who did have the ear of the CEO and the ops director, a few of them got together and said basically they weren't happy with the way that I was doing things, and they were probably right. In fairness, they probably were right. Well, they certainly were right, I should say. And that was enough then to rock that enough for the CEO and for the ops director to sit me down and say, hey, look, something's got to change here. And that was kind of the beginning part of that change in that career for me, and also the starting point of me in moving towards doing my own business. And so I guess there's a positivity to being a bad manager, because it then led me into doing what I'm strong at, which is the leadership piece, which was taking on my own business and starting to build those visions. But yeah, I think that kind of brings me to the end of this episode, really. And like I said, I think it's a really good place to finish, that I've recognised at 38 years old, nearly 39, but not quite, that I'm a really shit, not really shit, but I'm not a great manager. It's not what I should be doing. I should be leading, I should be building visions, driving people towards those visions. And that for me is a much better place, better for me, better for everyone around me. And it led me to have a phone call with Shelley, who I've spoken about, our employee experience and development director. And I said to her, Shelley, your biggest job right now is to make sure that I don't manage anybody. And she was like, okay. And she didn't even need it explaining. And that was another sign that I knew it. Is she didn't even need it explaining. I said, Shelley, I shouldn't manage anybody. That's not what I'm good at. I shouldn't do it. She went, okay, cool. We'll work through that and we'll figure that out and we'll get started on it. So yeah, I think that's a great place to finish the episode. Thank you very much for listening to episode 6. I look forward to recording episode 7. He says. Thank you very much. This has been Entrepreneur Life with me, Joel Campbell, and I am an entrepreneur.